Jordan Peterson again. What a king. He came up with a gem that I think is just whizzes past everybody. And so I'm going to break it down for 10 minutes, even though there are many, many YouTube videos of him doing exactly the same thing. And you could easily go watch them. Nonetheless, don't do that. Listen to me regurgitating exactly what he says. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to make sure that you figure out what is the biggest burden you can take and then bear that burden. He thinks that that's the point of life. And is he wrong? Is he wrong? You know, if you are not doing that, you really aren't pulling your weight, are you? If you are not pulling something else that is a big weight, what are you really doing? If you are living one of these lives that is just expedient and fun, where is the fulfillment? Where is the feeling of I left my mark at the end of the day? And also, this is the really crucial thing. It's not about you. And when you realize that it's not about you, the world starts treating you like it is about you. It's a really inverted, weird scenario, but it definitely is the way that it goes. If you aren't thinking about yourself as laying a brick in a big wall, I don't think that you're looking at life correctly. As Paul Keating says really well, when I listen to classical music and then go out and read the budget estimates, I remember that I'm just a crack in the time lapse of history. It's just bringing out that big magnitude, and that is why you were able to achieve true greatness. That is why he was able to sit there until he had sore eyes early in the morning, year after year, having to wear sunglasses over his eyes so that he was able, in the fluorescent light, to read all of the estimates, to make sure that all the T's were crossed and the dots were dotted. I'm assuming is the phrase. Do you know what I'm talking about? Surely you do. This is just a really, then I'm fucked up. Look, I'll work on that. That's my burden to bear. But I think that's what he's talking about. When you are consumed in your passion in life, even Rocco Siffredi says it when he goes, I likes the folks that when I focus now, I feel there's a real pain in my back and it reminds me to focus harder, yes. If your passion in life is fucking on camera, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Anybody who is a master in their field, what are they doing? They're trying to put a burden on themselves. That I'm stepping on giant shoulders, that's what you're doing there. That's what you're doing. You are taking on the burden that everybody else has. You've read yourself to that. That's a burden in itself. And then on top of that, big rock on your shoulders. So, what is the biggest burden that you can hold? This plays into his point of, figuring out what you are and aren't in control of in relation to how skilled you are in your field at that time. And then you start moving into the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. That's really, if you go look at the Friendly Geordies channel, that's really what happened. You can see that our burden keeps getting bigger, and collectively that is also the contribution of an incredibly talented staff that's behind it, that are all putting their big burden on their shoulders as well. Everybody's carrying up a big burden, and that's what happens when you start putting shit on your own back. Other people just think, yeah, here we go, let's all lift this together so we can put an even bigger burden on it. That's really what's happening there. That really is the key to quote-unquote success in life. The quote-unquote key to success in life is that you start something, you say, here, I'm trying to push this one up, and then a bunch of other people come around you. That is because people are starting to get attracted to your beliefs and visions, and they become that because you are pushing against something for so long that you start thinking, well, I can tell you, this should be a lot easier if I had one of those little shovel things, yeah. And that becomes your belief, right? It becomes an observation that happened because you were constantly trying to pull it up. You start coming up with new distinctions because you're constantly being challenged. Being challenged is so underrated in life. If you are not challenging yourself, if you are not taking on that burden, guess what you're doing? You're sitting on someone else's burden. Now have a think about that. Not only are you not contributing to yourself, you are not contributing to society, you're not contributing to the earth, because you aren't pushing something up. So you just become something that sits on it for everybody else to deal with. This is a big problem in my life that I look at, and I look at the political landscape, and I think if everybody just, spend a little time educating themselves instead of just whatever is in front of their face and go, yeah, fuck that, I'm voting this way. If everybody just spent maybe a few hours so that they got a basic lay of the land of what politics is, the most important thing to controlling a society. Maybe that should be important, but most people are so consumed in themselves that they don't ever look out to the wider aspects of society, so they never even think about politics to begin with. They're not even at that level. And then if they are at the next level, they're like, yeah, politics, whatever. Most of them, it's just there you go, here's something that reinforces your view. Oh, okay. And then you do that. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. It's a scary thought, isn't it? It's a scary thought thinking that, holy crap, there is no such thing as a free ride. Like, if you aren't doing that, someone else is doing that, and they're pushing you up. So when he's talking about finding the biggest burden that you have, I think what he's saying is what you're passionate about, and then when you are passionate about something, just figuring out where the boundaries are in that so you can push against that for the rest of your life. So that the next person that's alive can pick up from there and go, if you aren't moving in that direction, where do you go? Where do you go? Nowhere. A complete waste of resources. It's such a great vision. That is exactly how it should be. You should be looking at, where can I be pushing something? Where can I be pushing against? And it makes you a better person, and it makes the world a better person. That constant resistance. There's two things in life, yeah? That really does encapsulate the two theories that pretty much all self-help is. The rest of it is just, now they swear in airports and there's so many girl boss written books. But the two basic principles in self-help, the two basic philosophies in self-help is Eastern and Western. And Eastern, I think, is a lot about non-resistance, and that has its own merit. We talk about that on the channel, but nowhere near as much as we think about the merits of resistance, because kind of, I guess, is like the Wizard of the Eastern one, yeah. But that's the whole thing, I think, is that self-help in the West is kind of teaching you, this is how you find that boulder to push up the hill. And I suppose Eastern philosophy is no, you know what? Eastern philosophy is mostly just saying, when you are forced to push a boulder up a hill, here's how to not care about it. But they're both still talking about boulders most of the time. Most of it all boils down to problems. Problems put in front of you and how to deal with those problems. Whereas what I really like about Jordan Peterson is to go seek them out. Because if you do go seek them out, you actually inadvertently solve a lot of your problems. Isn't that incredible? You know what else is incredible? The Jordan Shanks Patreon. You should sign up to it and you should get the deluxe package. You buy a package, you should get 2 extra videos a week. Cheaper than a cup of coffee. Cheaper than a cup of coffee, and you will be getting injected into you all of this wisdom, all of these tips, all of these reminders. That's the most important thing I think that Jordan Shanks does. Remind you, have you done the basics? Go do the basics. I pep you up to go do the basics so you're excited about it, and you do that instead of wasting life playing Tekken 2 or whatever it is you kids play these days. That's why you should do it, because you should invest in yourself. You should invest in yourself because that is the most important thing for you to invest in. That is one thing that universally will help everybody push up that boulder. See you around.